Blog Talk Radio.
Readers Entertainment Radio presents Booklights with your host, author Lisa Kessler. Booklights, where we're shining a light on good books.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to June. So glad that you're here today. We are heading into summer. It's getting real hot down here in Florida. I think Florida is done preheating. We've moved into the heat. But wherever you are, I hope that you are in nice air conditioning and you're ready to talk books. I'm so excited for you to meet our author today, Donna D Conrad. And she has written a different dichotomy of books that we're going to talk about. So I can't wait for you to meet her. If you have not read her books yet, I'm going to read her bio here so you can get to know her. Donna Conrad is an award-winning author, journalist, activist, and teacher. Her core values revolve around the concept of individual empowerment, a sustaining ideal that runs through all the books that she writes. She's a multi-genre author with books published in historical fiction and memoir. Her first book, The House of Moon, Surviving the 60s, is an award-winning memoir that explores the life of the tumultuous decade that changed the world. Her upcoming book, it just came out. So you guys can go grab it and read it right now. It's part of a 4-book historical fiction series, The Magdalene Chronicles. And it's The Last Magdalene. That's what we're going to talk about today. It just came out April 9th and has won 5 national pre-publication awards. She lives in Pacific Northwest with her husband and their 3 cats. And when she's not writing, you can find Donna cruising the back roads in her black-on-black Miata. It's named after one of her favorite poets, Maya Angelou. And you can find out more about her on her website. I did put a link to her website right there on Blog Talk. So if you are listening live today, you can click that and check out her books. And if you're listening later, you can do the same. So without any further delay, are you there, Donna?
I am here.
Good. It's last time we were going to chat, we were disrupted by Mercury in retrograde and an eclipse, and Blog Talk wouldn't work. So I'm so glad that you came back.
It's wonderful to be here. That was pretty funny.
Yes, it's been like a quest to get you back on, but I'm so glad that you're here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I really enjoy your show and your enthusiasm for all things writing.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm kind of passionate about writing. But your book, I'm so interested to read it. It's called The Last Magdalene, and it's historical fiction, right? But it sounds like you did a ton of research. Why should people go grab it this week?
Well, it is based on a tremendous amount of historical research, and it is recasting or reframing the pivotal time in history involving people we know, Yeshua Bar Yosef, we know as Jesus, and Miriam the Magdalene, which is Mary Magdalene, as it's come down through the Christian text. But it's showing them as real people fighting against an oppressive occupation by Rome and what they had to go through. So I've really nailed down all of, their foods, the way they would live, the way they would travel, all of these things. But as I say, it's based heavily in history, but it is fiction. But it is as close as I could get, or I think anybody could get, to demythifying the people and showing them as being human and subject to all of our frailties, and yet overcoming tremendous obstacles.
And this is book 1 of multi-books, right? How many books are going to be in the series?
4 right now. Someone just suggested a 5th one, but I'm trying to ignore it. So my mission as a writer is to write about women who have been marginalized throughout history, which, as we all know, is pretty much most women. Right. So I have started with Mary Magdalene because I feel she has been defamed for the last 2,000 years. And her true story is so inspirational about how she survived, how she became a great teacher in her own right. So the 4-book series follows her life. And the next book, which I'm writing right now, The Lost and the Holy, takes place after the crucifixion. Spoiler alert, yes, that does happen in the book. And she is exiled to Alexandria. So now we're doing all things Egyptian. So it's a great book to write. And then we follow her to southern Gaul, where she became a great teacher and healer and a mystic. And then book 4 is going to be from her daughter's perspective. And so it's going to be kind of a retrospective of what happened from somebody's completely different point of view.
Oh, nice. And is this going to be, now the name of the book just fled out of my head, but is her daughter going to be her and Jesus? Like the
you have to read the book to find that out.
Okay, no spoilers.
Okay. I mean, I'll spoil it that there is a crucifixion in it, which is pretty gruesome. But yeah, her daughter is Sarah. And so the 4th book in the series is called The Song of Sarah.
Oh,
and,
okay. So how were you able to find out what happened to her after because like the big famous book, the Bible, she, after the crucifixion, she's there for the resurrection, but then, you kind of, she's marginalized after that.
Well, she's written out of history. She's written,
yes, exactly.
She's written out of Christian history. She
right. So how did
is the
you
first
find
one
out?
to see the resurrected Christ. Yeah.
Right. How did you find out what happened next to her?
Well, there are other books that were unearthed in Egypt, most notably the Nag Hammadi text and the Sistah Sophia, and they were discovered in the late 1700s, and they give a more detailed about her, but I depended mostly on legends from southern France, and where there are many Magdalene sites in Provence, in the Languedoc, in the Roussillon area. And I'm trying to think of how to say this. So to me, if a legend persists for 2,000 years,
right,
I think there's some basis to it. And nobody knows where she really went. But if a whole entire group of people, starting with the Visigoths in the 1st century, have legends relating to this woman who came from across the sea and was a great teacher, and that I went with those kinds of legends. So
okay.
I do have her going to southern France and becoming a great teacher.
Ahead. Well, I wondered about how did you locate all of these things? Are you a part-time historian? What led you to track all this down?
Well, a lot of research, but I suffered masterfully and had to go to southern France multiple times. Oh,
darn,
the writer's life is so hard. And I know.
Suffering for your art.
I know. I suffer masterfully, if not silently. And so what got me interested in the Magdalene to begin with was a Magdalene scholar, Johnny Gozina, and she took me to southern France and said, you have to see these places and hear what people are saying about her and walk the paths that she is supposed to have walked. And when you're there and you see the land, it seeps into you. And it made a believer out of me that she actually went there because Gaul, which is what it was called at that time, was the place of exile for any Judeans, anybody that pissed off Rome, which was a lot of people, and even Herod Antipas was exiled to Lyon at the time. And so it was fitting that she would have gone there and that there was a big Hebraic community there that actually flourished in the Middle Ages in Narbonne. And so it all made sense to me. And so walking to places, talking to a lot of Magdalene historians like Margaret Starbird and other people in Pagel's books, all of these led me to this, creating this storyline for her.
And this is something that I don't know if people know. I'm going to ask anyway. In the Bible, it makes it sound like Mary Magdalene, like that's her last name. But you obviously, yes. it's a job title, or what is it really?
It's an honorific. Let's make it that way.
Okay.
And the thing is, they also say Mary of Magdala, but the town of Magdala did not exist in the first century. So saying somebody came from a town that didn't exist is a bit ludicrous. So that doesn't work. And in the original Aramaic, she's either called Mary Magdalene or she's called Miriam the Magdalene. And if we think we know now because of writers that the title Merlin, it was a title. I mean, the chief druid who was famous with King Arthur, his name wasn't Merlin. It was the title. He was the Merlin.
Gotcha.
Exactly. And so Taliesin, I think, is what he was called, the one who served King Arthur. So at this time and place, Magda in Hebrew means exalted or tower. And so you have a woman who is mentioned first above all other women in all the canonical Gospels. She is present in most of the pivotal events during this time. And she is mentioned more often than even the apostles. So she's got a place of standing. So she has a place of standing. That means she was someone of note. And so I have her being the Magdalene, which would be the high priestess of the goddess Ashara. And there's ample archaeological evidence that the goddess Ashara was still being worshipped, kind of covertly.
Okay.
Not in the big open, but kind of, kind of don't ask, don't tell type of things in the Second Temple period. And one of the lines I have in the book that the Magdalene says is that when babes are hard to birth, it's a priestess a woman calls, not a priest. And so they were midwives, they were healers, they were wise women. And I think at this time, after the destruction of the temple in 70, we have no more archaeological signs that Ashara was. So I'm framing this as the time when kind of the perfect storm, and it eradicated the worship of the goddess in Judea.
That's fascinating.
Not that I'm hitting big subjects.
Right, yeah. Well, I love the that particular time period where, the shift from like paganism where women giving birth is they have the power, and shifting that to a patriarch system where women, were the first sin, and and they brought men out of the garden and all this kind of stuff is fascinating to me, how that shift, happened. And this sounds like you really dug into that.
Oh, that was the basis of it. How did we come from women being honored as life givers, as healers, as having a intrinsic connection to the feminine aspect of divinity, which is life giving? It's not the warrior, everything's wrong, masculine side. Not that men are like that, but that the male deities tend to be less caring for day-to-day life events, and the female is. And how did we get from that to, you're right, everything being, the woman's fault? And,
exactly.
And it's, I wanted to explore how that happened, and a lot of that happened when Rome expanded and took over the Mediterranean basin. We see systematically matriarchal societies. You look at like Cleopatra, who was ruling. You look at Alexandria Salome, who ruled in Judea. And then you're not seeing women rulers after Rome expands. So as I say, if there's an antagonist in this book other than Herod Antipas, it's Rome and the patriarchal system that just slammed down on free expression.
Right. And then as Christianity became a religion and started to spread, it kind of continued that spiritually, you know.
Well, exactly. And to me, they took all of the control elements of any type of religion, any kind of dogma, any kind of ruling class, and made it so that there were rules. There were things that you had to do, and if you didn't follow exactly, you were wrong. And this came about because the people ruling were emperors. And number one, Constantine. You know, so it's very convenient to have one emperor, one god, and that was it. And if you didn't believe it, you're wrong. You know, and you're dead, basically. You know, so the first thing they say of any cult, here I go, I'm getting into it, any cult, is that the first thing you convince people of is that everybody else is lying. You're the only one that's telling the truth.
Mhm. Yeah, true.
And so that's yeah.
Well, for our listeners who love to add to their to-be-read lists, and I don't know if you've read this book, but this topic, because I'm so fascinated with that time period, there was a great book, and it was another historical fiction, but it reads like you're reading, you know, someone's life story, but it was fantastic. But it's called The Pagan Nun. And
I haven't heard of it.
Oh, go check it out. It's so good. But it's The Pagan Nun, and it happens over in the UK, but it's that time period where Christianity is just starting to spread out, and you're not allowed to be pagan anymore. And this woman gets basically told you can be a nun or you can be dead. What do you want? And so she chooses to be alive, and now she's a nun, and she's learning all of these sacraments that they are doing, but she's also secretly still healing people with herbs and you know, doing these things that she has always done to help women and things like that. And it was a really interesting picture of how it happens bit by bit, you know. and
absolutely, it sounds kind of like Mists of Avalon, which, you know, was one of the first ones re-exploring and redefining that, where Morgaine was still pagan.
Right. And he was the first king that was Christian and pagan or something.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And so it recast the whole Arthurian legend, and kind of it influenced me in wanting to retell a story we've been told for 2,000 years from a male perspective, and recast it from the woman that's been villainized.
Yes.
And that was Morgaine, and this is now the Magdalene. So there's corollaries between those two, in that she's pivotal to this time, and she's the one that took all the blame.
Right.
And got written out of history. Like you say, she sees the risen Christ, and then she disappears.
Right. Yeah. And then that's enough from her.
Exactly. Go sit in the corner, be quiet.
well, and then when they were recovering all the books of the Bible that the Nicene, you know, where the editors decided this book's important, this book is not, and her book got edited right out.
Absolutely, and that's how we know about them. Because they destroyed most of the books, but we have references in the first century about somebody having this heretical text. And we don't have the heretical text, and it's like, okay. Then the Nag Hammadi codices were discovered in Egypt, and they had some of the books. They had the Book of Mary, they had the Book of Philip and Thomas, and there's even a Book of Judas. And so we're discovering these ancient Coptic Gospels that were hidden away, and that's where we're getting a more rounded.
Right, because they just decided that doesn't serve our purpose, so goodbye.
Exactly. And if you look at the purpose in the early part, was to control, was to say, we're the right way, you're the wrong way. And to me, how a loving, kind, sensitive, caring rabbi from Galilee, and his words, which were always love one another,
right?
You know, be kind, be inclusive, be caring, go out of your way to offer a hand to somebody who's fallen, has turned into such an exclusive, mean-spirited, how it got twisted, it still amazes me, because if you just go back to basic Christian values, it's not what we have. There's no hate in it. There's no place for hate.
Yeah, it's God is love. So
exactly. God is love, and you help your neighbor. You welcome someone who's a foreigner in a foreign land, and you help them, and you take them in. You don't exclude them, and you don't kill somebody because they don't believe what you believe.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I wanted to.
I'm not going to get controversial.
Nah, we can be controversial. It's fine. But I did want to ask you about your memoir called The House of Moon is actually about your life in the 60s, which probably, I'm guessing, I have not read it yet, but I'm guessing is not very religious. So how did you go from this memoir about rock stars in the 60s to all the way to Mary Magdalene? How did this happen?
Well, how it really happened was I started writing The Last Magdalene. And I felt that, how can I say this? I wasn't getting down deep to, I now teach a class called Writing Real, Writing Raw. And it's just getting down to emotional contact. And I felt I wasn't getting that. And someone at a Thanksgiving dinner found out that I knew Jim Morrison and Jimi Hendrix. And he said, you lived history. And he said, no, you are history. And someone else said, why don't you write about your life instead of something about 2,000 years ago? Oh. And I stopped and I thought about it. I thought, I also am a woman that was marginalized. In the 60s, women had no voice. And I thought it was a really good match. And by writing that book and by being so open and so vulnerable, I was able to write The Last Magdalene because it's the same story. If you think about it, women at this time in first century Judea were being silenced. They were having rights taken away. They were losing their voices. And so it's a similar theme. And if the other connection between the two is that Galilee was this hotbed. It was kind of the Berkeley of the Middle East. And it's where all the rebellions against Rome, against Greece, they all came out of there. And these guys were incredible freedom fighters. And they were going against oppression. So I saw a lot of connections between the upheaval of the 60s, the division in the country at that time, my life, my mother's life, my sister's life, being basically silenced and told we had no rights, as being similar. And a lot of reviewers and readers are telling me, my God, things haven't changed that much in 2,000 years. We're still going through this. Right. Yeah.
So
that's how
I
connected
think about
the two.
The cycles, that we constantly go through cycles, and we swing forward and then we get pulled way back, and then we swing forward and then we get pulled way back. And it's just like, maybe that's humanity as a whole. We can't, we march forward and then we screech back, but the cycles keep getting repeated over and over and over.
Well, and I think it's important for people in general to look at these cycles and to not lose hope, and to say right now we're going into a very conservative, very restrictive, very exclusive time where people want to rule other people's lives. And if we act in an intelligent, passionate, constructive manner, that can change. But if we just sit back and do nothing, then the exclusion, the people who want to control everything win.
Right.
So, that's what happened in the 60s. I think it needs to happen now. And it's what happened back in first century when Rome took over. It took a lot longer to get rid of Rome.
Right.
I think we're still kind of in Roman times now. But yeah, so one led to the other, but my story in House of the Moon is very dark, very gritty. There are, I was asked at one time, are there any trigger warnings? And I said, there's every trigger warning. I mean, life in the 60s was not easy for women.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh, are you?
Go ahead.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. So, are you working on the next Magdalene? What's next for you?
Right. 3 more books in this series, and I have said that they will come out every April. I'm releasing the books, or my publisher's releasing the books between Easter and Passover every year because they deal with those 2 belief systems. And so the next book, like I say, will take place in Alexandria, and the following one in Southern Gaul. And so, yes, over the next 3 years, there'll be 3 books.
And
then I'll be locked away.
And then you're going to rest. So what's the name of the next book?
The Lost and the Holy.
Oh, like it. So,
and then one other thing we
pre-order yet?
No, not yet. It's not finished yet. I need to have it to my editor in July, the 1st of July. So,
oh my gosh, soon.
Soon. And that's for people to realize. I mean, to have this launched in April, it's got to be finished in July.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it's that. But one other thing I wanted to mention, very exciting, we just finished the audiobook of The Last Magdalene. And the narrator, Marnie Scher from Sweet Tone Sound, has done an incredible job. Oh, everybody is going to love the Magdalene's narrative voice. She is just so talented. And that will come out in July.
Oh, yay. Okay. So in July, we'll have the audiobook. I love listening to audiobooks. I used to think that, why would I want someone to read me a book? And then when my books came out audio, I was like, well, I guess I should listen before I tell people to get them. And I listened and I was like, what? And they bring a whole different, it's almost like a movie for your head because they act out all the voices. And oh my gosh, it is not the librarian reading you the book of the week. It's fantastic.
Exactly.
So definitely go get the audiobook.
It is incredible. And if people want to know more about where I'm going to be teaching or my books, you can always please go to donnaconrad.com. And if you enroll, you'll get a special code that will allow you the lost chapters from House of the Moon, which are the chapters that didn't make it in the book, but are still among my favorites.
Oh, my gosh. And do you have a newsletter or are you on social media? Readers love to get in touch after they get excited about a new book.
Oh, absolutely. I'm on donnaconrad.com, and I do have a newsletter that goes out monthly, except when I'm in the middle of writing a book, but it will go out this month. And it has little historical tidbits that didn't make it into the book. And then I am going to be launching a private Facebook group called the Magdalene Chronicles, hopefully in the next month or so.
Oh, so key. So get connected with Donna on Facebook so that you don't miss the Facebook group, because I bet there will be all sorts of amazing historical tidbits posted in there, right?
Absolutely. It'll be fun.
Yes, for sure. Well, thanks so much for being here today. This has been fascinating. And everyone, go run out and grab The Last Magdalene and also House of Moon if you love hearing stories about rock stars and and women in the 60s. Definitely go grab it. Thanks so much for being here today, Donna. It was great chatting with you.
It's my pleasure to be here, and thank you so much for having me on the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on Booklights. Be sure to connect with us at www.readersentertainment.com for articles, blogs, videos, and podcasts that matter to readers.